There is a secret type of altcoins that is outperforming everything. No, it's not AI, gaming, meme coins, or another categorical narrative. Rather, it's the way some of these big brain altcoin teams are doing with their token launch. Specifically, we're talking about a fair launch that's targeted at their community and having their community be in on the ground floor. So what happens is their community end up loving these tokens as they can get in early at a low valuation and prices go up slowly but surely. This creates a core community and a true fan base for those tokens, and it's part of the reason why meme coins were popular in the first place. So in today's live stream, I'll dive deep into the fair launch meta, and I'll show you 6 projects that I believe have high potential as they are launching at a low valuation and completely open for all of their community members to get in on the ground floor and get in early. Okay, welcome back to the VirtualBacon channel. My name is Dennis. I'm a crypto angel investor for the past 6 years, and I have invested in over 100 crypto startups. On this channel, I share views on market trends and investing strategy to build wealth in crypto. Really quick, if you guys have any questions, please leave them down in the comments and in the chat section, and we will do a Q&A at the very end. So before we even start, you should know that I will be mentioning a list of newly launched and upcoming projects in this video. There will be 6 of them that I'll be mentioning, and 3 of them have already listed. So yes, and the other 3 are set about to launch over the next couple months. I have either invested or have bought into these altcoins at a pretty low valuation right around the time of launch. But the caveat here is that all of these projects, 5 of them are still at my entry price, either that they are listed and still at a low price and even below the price I got in at, or they could be doing a public sale, in which case the public sale price is actually lower than the private sale price. And this is what's really important and separates these projects from the rest, from these VC heavy projects that people are so used to. So just know that, and that's the caveat for today. Okay, so let's get into some of the background. Why are new token launches not profitable, and why is this even such a big deal? So I want to show you some charts here, first of all. Here are some of the popular projects that have launched over the past couple months. We have Scroll. This is one of the very established layer 2 project for Ethereum. And they launched on Binance Launch Pool, and they even did pre-market, whatever, a bunch of marketing through Binance. And look at price, not performing, launching at $1.30, now is like half that, 67 cents. We also have EigenLayer, one of the biggest innovations that we've seen in this space with Ethereum restaking. Honestly, the technology is really strong, but it launched at, what is this, like $4. It was at $6-7 billion valuation, fully diluted. And since then, it has been down only. Now, are these projects relatively overvalued or undervalued? You can argue for either way. However, the fact that it launches at so high puts it at a really bad place because you don't have a community. Your community doesn't want to buy your tokens at such a high valuation. They know what you're doing. They know that the VCs likely got in at a much lower valuation, and they push it onto Binance, and Binance also got in at a low valuation, and thus they are continuing to dump their tokens on the market. So even if there are people that believe in the technology, they cannot buy these coins. And this isn't just for infra projects or for certain type of categorical technology projects. You also have like AI projects such as IONET, also launched on Binance, and it's a strong project, right? It has a lot of deep-in machines on the network, heavily supported by Solana, but still, it launches at $5 and now it's at $1.60, pretty much down only. And you also have like so-called meme coins that are on the Telegram taunt network. For example, Hamster Comeback, Tatizen, dogs. There are a bunch of these like so-called meme coins, but they're completely the reverse because these meme coins have VCs, and what happens is the VCs got in at a much lower valuation, and they kind of run these like fake airdrop campaigns for millions of users. And Hamster Combat, I believe, listed at around $1 billion valuation and has since been down only, and now it's at 270 million valuation. Everyone is down. So is this problem specific to Binance? Well, no, these are just the most high caliber projects because Binance is so big. But Binance Launch Pool is nowadays really not a good place to launch your tokens, even though they launch at good high valuations. What happens is your token holders, your public investors, they do not make any money. Instead, only the VCs, the people that got in early, make the money. And this is one side. And I've even heard more recently that Binance, when they do their negotiations, they're asking for 10-15% of the total supply just given to Binance. That's honestly pretty crazy. Like, I don't think any projects should be taking these deals. Now, this is not only applies to Binance. However, you can apply this to all kinds of launch scenarios. Even if a project launches at, a few $100 million in valuation, it could still be very overvalued. If they do one of these like IDO launchpads, for example, on Ape Terminal, what happens is, sure, some of these projects, they have good all-time high returns, but what happens is you don't have a public sale, right? You don't have your community members getting in on the ground floor because your public sale is very small in cap. And what happens is these launchpads just ends up being a lottery campaign for people to hype up the project, but only few people get to participate. And the projects list at a very high valuation relative to the public sale price, and it also goes down only. There are many, many of these cases. And you can even apply the same to some of the projects listing on Bybit. Even Bybit's IEO is not that great. OKX IEO is not that great. Gate IEO is not that great. Basically, the whole kind of new project launch meta is very broken. There are very few projects that are able to make new highs after listing. And at its core, I think a couple things are wrong here. So number one, when you do one of these launch pads, what are you doing here? You're giving a small token allocation, usually 1 to 3% of the supply that's sold to the public, whether that's people that are on the exchange or on the launch pad. And you have essentially hundreds of thousands of people trying to enter, and not all of them get to buy. Instead, only a few percent of them get to buy. And this ends up being a lottery. And not only that, but when you do a launchpad like this, the target audience you're going for is not your core community. It's not like these communities are doing a Discord campaign within their core community, the people that have been following the project. Instead, they are targeting an exchange where people are just actively trading every newly launched coin. And so what happens is you attract the people that are just looking for a quick flip. And these people only care about the metrics, how low they can get in, and can they win this lottery? And once the project lists, they're going to sell the tokens right away. So this is a big problem with doing one of these launchpads at a centralized exchange or at a typical IDO launchpad for the listing. Not only this, but you also, like when you go for high tier listings like on Binance or Bybit, etc., you have a high listing cost in terms of paying for just straight up dollars and in a large percentage supply of your tokens. Usually that's not worth it. Then some projects now have been doing, exploring other ways of doing so. For example, we have seen something called node sales in the past few months. This claims to be a fair way of launching your tokens because they offer 20, 30, sometimes 50% of the supply that's dedicated for the community. However, these node sales also raise at way too high of a valuation. So one of these node sales recently is called Sofon. So they raised over $60 million through a node sale. This number is way too big. So even if you have 50% of your supply dedicated to this node sale, your public investors in this node sale are still then effectively investing at a $120 million valuation. That is not low, right? Also, the other caveat is that these node sales usually have a very, very long vesting, something like 3 years plus. And they usually pitch it as passive income for your community. And what happens is it's essentially just like an ICO, but they cannot call it ICO. Instead, they have some node mechanics and you have to run the validator node, but it's all the same thing, right? Your public investors buy these nodes and they feel like they're getting a good deal and a passive investment. But in the end, they buy these nodes at a high valuation, even higher than the VCs at sometimes, pretty crazy. And the lockup is 3 years plus, and that's even longer than the VCs. So it's the worst case among all of the rounds. So basically, node sales are not a good deal. So then what's the third way that projects have explored in launching their tokens? Well, of course, you have airdrops, right? So airdrops, we know by now, are not a good way to get good income. They were good in 2023, 2022, they were still good because not everyone were doing it. But nowadays, every single project is doing airdrops, and more often than not, they are just a way to attract bots, to attract farmers. And some projects, even now, they heavily promote these airdrops and have referral campaigns. And in the end, they change the metrics for their airdrops so that the people that are receiving these airdrops, they don't receive as much and they have longer vesting. And also, one of the core reasons why airdrops do not work is because they are free. So when you have something that's free, it's definitely going to get botted. So people from third world countries, people that are running bot farms, they are always targeting things that are free because it's just worth their time. If they can somehow get around the KYC check, get around the anti-Sybil, then they can just farm like 1 million accounts. So it always ends up being a war between the project and the airdrop farmers. And this is why airdrops, ultimately, they don't really serve your community. When you have a core community, these people would rather pay like $100 or $200, $300 to actually have some skin in the game at a low valuation instead of just doing like 1 month of work and receiving $1 of tokens. That's not worth it for them. And also, because the airdrops are free, you attract like basically bots. So I don't think airdrops are a good mechanic for launching your tokens either. So then that brings us to today's main topic, which is how do you properly distribute tokens to public investors, especially to your core community members? How do you make sure that your core community members are taken care of? They get in out at the ground floor, they get a low valuation, and they see a lot of upside. And thus, they have been supporting your project since very early on. And so these are the people that you want to bring on for the ride if your token is going to go up in value. So there are a couple ways you can do this. But at its core, you have to serve a few things right. Number one, you have to consider token vesting. So my good friend Jordy, he has put out a game theory thesis on this as well. So basically the summary here is that when you have token lockups for private sale investors, for VCs, for KOL rounds, whatever, it's not that they are bad by design, right? You don't want to give everyone just tokens all the time. However, ideally, you should only serve your core community and have these guys be able to get in and not be dumped on by the early VCs, early investors. So when you have early VCs that are constantly getting token unlocks, what happens is everyone needs to track these token unlocks. And if someone is from your core community and they buy your token, but they find out that, okay, I have a VC or a KOL that got in 10x cheaper, what are they going to think? They will always think that these VCs will sell and take profit from their 10x. Well, it's just natural, right? So ultimately, what you want to achieve with your token unlock is you only want to give your core community the discounts that you know that they're going to hold your tokens. And instead, for the VCs, for the people, for the KOLs, and for the people that don't believe in your project, and I'm not talking about every VC or every KOL, but just people that are just looking for a quick flip, you want to get rid of those people and let them sell at low valuation and have those tokens change hands to be held by your core community. So this is number one around token vesting. Number two is the concept of launching on a decentralized exchange versus a centralized exchange. So we have visited already, and we have talked about how when you list on a centralized exchange like Binance, like Bybit, day one, usually you end up incurring a huge cost, not only on your giving up your token supply, but also dollar value. And also, when you list on a centralized exchange, a big one, day one, what happens is you have market makers that are coming in and taking profit from the tokens that are given. And usually the market maker decides what your token lists at. So the project founders, when they list on Binance, they don't really even have a say to say that, oh, we want to list our tokens at a low valuation at $100 million. So, our core community can buy at a low valuation. Binance does not agree to that. When you engage with a large exchange, most of the time they will force you to list at a higher valuation and have their market makers sell into that high valuation to take profit. That's just the nature of the game. And that's why there are some projects that are listing their tokens now at decentralized exchanges only since day one. And this is a really good example we have talked about recently. It's XBorg right here. So this is a project that we have talked about before they listed. And during the first months that they listed on decentralized exchange only, right here. And because these guys chose to list at a low valuation, they have that control when they do it on a decentralized exchange, because you don't have a market maker forcing you to list at a high valuation. And then what ends up happening is the VCs, the KOLs, that people that don't believe in the project, they sell into that low valuation, and then your core community, they have a chance to buy at the low valuation on these decentralized exchanges first. So this is the number two you got to consider. Sometimes it's not worth it to list on a big centralized exchange, even though it sounds good. Oh, we have a big Binance listing, Bybit listing, but who is actually buying there, right? Look at all the new listings nowadays. Most of them don't perform that well on a big centralized exchange. And then the third criteria you need to attract your core community is listing at a low valuation. Sometimes it's a listing at a low valuation. Sometimes it's hosting an open public sale at a low valuation. Essentially, it all serves the same purpose, which is to let your core community get in on the ground floor. So let's say on XBorg, for example, this token. I invested in this token in the private sale round, I think around $50 to $60 million valuation. And when they listed this token, it was at $60 million valuation right here. When it was trading, total supply 1 billion, 6.6 cents, $66 million valuation, and dropped down to $55 million valuation. This gave me all the confidence in the world to say, and to tell my audience, now is a good chance because I got in at those same valuation. And I have, full heart and full honesty, and to just tell people, if you buy in now, you're buying at the same price that I know for a fact private sale investors got in at this price. And that helps the projects identify who are the core believers at these valuations. Because when the project lists on this kind of scenario, right, list at $60 million valuation, some people take profit, price comes down on this kind of drawdown, and I have been engaging with the team during this process as well. What happens is we get to look on chain and figure out why price had this drawdown. And in this case, it's because many of the VCs and the KOLs that don't believe in this project, well, they sold on the listing, right? They sold at a 50% profit, whatever, and they brought the price back down to their entry price. And now when we make these marketing pushes, make new announcements, tell people about these projects, we know for a fact that if you get in now, you are taking the bags from these early investors, but they are not at a profit. They are selling at a break even and at a loss. And this way, we know for a fact that there are not going to be early investors that are coming in much later on to dump on the price, because we know those people are already out and sold at the listing. So this is a good example, and we all know what happened to XBorg after, right? We have been telling people about this project since listing in the 50 to 70 million range, and over the past months, it consolidated for 2 months, and then once everyone were already out, started to make a major push, and it pushed all the way till over 300 million market cap. So really good example, right? And a lot of people are trying to copy this success now. And I'm just going to show you a couple more projects that have been doing this, and they are at a kind of still at these consolidation stage, right? Depending on where they are at post-launch. So we have talked about, actually we haven't talked about this one before, and that's SeedWorld. So SeedWorld is a new project launched by Seedify, the gaming launchpad. And these guys also listed at a low valuation here, $4 million market cap. And I think translated to fully diluted market cap, that is 40 million, not high. And you can see this on their deck screener as well. And also what these guys did is that they only listed on decentralized exchanges, no centralized exchange, which means nobody can force them to list at a high valuation to dump on their community. So when they list on a decentralized exchange, they have these kind of price patterns, right? They launch at a $4 million valuation, and over the first 12 to 24 hours, price goes up 60-70% and start to consolidate. Pretty healthy chart. When you look at this kind of a chart, it resembles it reminds you even of a kind of a meme coin launch, right? When a meme coin has a fair launch, price chart typically looks something like this. You have a few people discover the project first, they get in early, and maybe they take profit, and token changes hands, and you have kind of few weeks to a couple months of consolidation before either the project makes bigger pushes and price goes up or not. But either way, you don't have a high valuation launch. So SeedWorld is a good example. And another one that I have been covering on my Twitter recently is mETH protocol, Cook. So this one is actually very undervalued now, in my opinion. This is because mETH protocol is the second official coin from Bybit, from Mantle. So you guys know Mantle is a layer 2 network launched by Bybit. And Mantle itself, it's trading at multiple billions of valuation and trading on every single centralized exchange. Now, these guys launched a new coin just 3 days ago called Cook for mETH protocol. This is their liquid staking coin. And right now, this coin trades at below $100 million in valuation. Remember, this is an official coin launched by Bybit. And when you compare the metrics of this protocol in terms of liquid staking, Mantle staked ETH has $1.2 billion in total value locked. And this is comparable to things like Jito, Rocket Pool, Binance, and Lido. And also, when you consider the other liquid restaking tokens, 3 most popular right now are EtherFi, $1.4 billion valuation. You have Renzo, $340 million valuation, and you have Puffer, $300 million valuation. And look at the price charts of these other coins because they listed on large centralized exchanges, right? EtherFi was a Binance Launchpool project. Price down only, right? Renzo, another Binance project, price down only. And Puffer, another centralized exchange coin, right? Bybit, Bitget, Gate, KuCoin, HTX, etc., down only. Now, the reason why I believe mETH has a lot of potential is because they didn't launch at a high valuation. Look at Puffer, right? Puffer launched right here and went to 90 cents, so 900 million at listing. Who is going to buy this coin at 900 million? Nobody. Same thing for Renzo. Launched at 15 to 19 cents. That's 1.5 to 1.9 billion dollar valuation. Who is going to buy that? Nobody, because that's overvalued. EtherFi, same thing. Launched and went to $7, $7 billion valuation. Nobody was going to buy this coin at that valuation. Versus mETH protocol Cook. Although the TVL numbers and the developments and the technology is same caliber, this coin is at $100 million valuation. Simple, right? You don't gotta believe me and listen to whatever, social media influencer or whoever. It doesn't matter. When you compare the valuation, the difference is clear. You have 100 million that you can buy right now, or these other coins, even after such drawdowns, are still at 300, 350, and 1.4 billion. Similar caliber of projects. So what are you going to choose? It's pretty simple, right? And that's why I have been telling people about this project a lot, not necessarily because I believe in huge potential of, restaking projects or whatever, but just because this is much more undervalued compared to rest of the projects. And this comes back to the concept of launching your tokens at a low valuation. When you see a project that actually launches at a low valuation, it doesn't have to be necessarily only DEX or full unlock or no VC investor or whatever. As long as you give people a chance to get in early, whether that's listing your tokens at a low valuation or having a public token sale at a low valuation or launching on decentralized exchange only at low valuation, doesn't matter. That gives plenty of upside for your community to buy in early, and that also at the same time rinses out the flippers, the KOLs, the VCs that are only there for the quick flip at the TGE, at the token listing. So the reason why we're seeing this kind of drawdown on mETH right now from 3 cents to 2 cents, that 33% drawdown, is the same reason why we saw XBorg post-listing having this kind of drawdown. Is because for every project, there are always people that invested somewhat early and are looking to sell all their tokens at listing. So this kind of progression is always natural. Even if you look at meme coins, you look at whatever fair launch, you look at a stealth listing, doesn't matter. It always goes through this kind of process. You list, you have initial hype wave, small. As long as the valuation at launch is small, you have people that got in early, whether they were lucky or not. They sell their tokens exchange hands at these low valuations. Your core community pick it up, and then the token consolidates, slowly grinds up, and then eventually makes an explosive move. This is exactly what we're seeing on mETH on Cook happening right now. And that's why I've been talking about this a lot. Similarly for SeedWorld as well. So SeedWorld consolidating, $80 million FDV, definitely not high compared to most other gaming altcoins out there. Okay, now that is, what is this? Three of the projects that are already listed. XBorg has already seen that run. SeedWorld, mETH protocol hasn't seen the end of the consolidation yet. Now, for newly launched projects, how do you spot these projects before they come onto market? I think you got to look at a few things. So I want to show you some examples here. First example, Tong Station. So I have been telling people about this airdrop coming on Telegram, coming on the Tong network. Now, full disclosure, I don't think you're going to make a lot of money from this airdrop alone. This is because Tong Station is not planning to launch at a high valuation. They have made this crystal clear. They are launching at $7.5 million FDV at TGE, which means when you use their Telegram app and you farm the Soon tokens early, you're probably going to get like under $100 at the listing. So that's not a lot, but this is a much better way to launch your token versus the other ones we've seen earlier, such as on like Hamster Combat. Sure, you have people getting maybe like $300-400, but you have millions and millions of bots, and that's just not the way to launch an airdrop. Instead, what you want to do is you want to filter out all the bots, and you want to give people not that much money, ideally something like $50, $100, $150, right, worth of your tokens, but at a low valuation at listing, $7.5 million. This way, if people want to sell and just have their $100 as a free reward, free airdrop, go ahead. But for the people that want to stick around, they can hold those tokens. And for the people that heard of this coin but didn't get into the airdrop, well, they have a chance to get in at these low valuations. And that's how you build a community. That's how you actually have a community fair launched. You know, you can call it a meme coin, you can call it a community coin, you can call it a cult coin, whatever. But it doesn't have to be a meme. It can be a utility coin that is still fair launched by launching at a low valuation, like this case on Town Station. And that is the reason why I have been telling people about this farm specifically. You're not going to make a lot of money right away, but I have been farming this very aggressively, and I don't expect to make a lot of money right at listing. But if they list at $7.5 million valuation, we can then buy up more of this coin, and 7.5 for this caliber of a project is low. We can all agree on that. So that is at least going to see like 3-4x gains going to like $30-40 million fully diluted valuation. That is still very low. And that makes a very compelling case for more and more people to get in at the ground floor, become a core community member, and actually promote this coin to other people that could get in early even after listing. So this is one project that I think deserves a lot of highlight. So if you guys want to follow a fair launch project, Town Station is planning to launch end of November. So it's still not too late to farm. And even at listing, it's not going to be too late because they are listing at a low valuation. Okay, first project. Second is a project called Blast Royale. Now, Blast Royale is a GameFi project. And unlike many other gaming projects that have launched at high FDV and just see that chart continue to bleed, Blast Royale is doing something completely different. So they plan to list 2 to 3 weeks from now. And in 2 weeks, they are hosting a public sale specifically for their community. Now, this isn't a IEO, whatever public sale at like $200 million FDV. Instead, check this out. Their community round, I don't think it's 7 days. They have told me that it happens in 2 weeks. So they are targeting their core community. You can invest up to $1,000 per NFT that you hold of their project. Or for the public, you can invest up to $500. And the community sale is happening on here, on Paid Network. And this is the key here. On this community sale, you are getting in at a $10 million fully diluted valuation. Very, very low market cap, right? Similar to, Town Station earlier, we talked about $7.5 million FDV at launch. This is $10 million FDV at launch. We can all agree that's low. And this is also very different from the traditional, IDO on Ape Terminal, whatever, or CoinList, or doing a node sale, or even like Binance Launch Pool. Because on Binance Launch Pool, you are only doing 1 to 3% of the token supply, which means most people cannot get in at that valuation. However, on Paid Network, when they are doing this public sale, they are doing it at a $10 million valuation, and they are raising $1.5 million in this sale. So 1.5 million divided by 10 million, that's 15% of the token supply that's being sold to the public at a $10 million valuation. That is a very, very aggressive approach for a public sale. This kind of metric means that if you really believe in this project, you have all the opportunity in the world to get in early at that $10 million valuation, because there is 15% of the supply being given away here at that low valuation. So the team here is really taking a big risk by giving away a large percent of the supply at a low valuation. And also, check this out. It's the way that they're doing this on paid network. This is the first one that they're doing in this approach, and they are coining it low FDV community offering, LCO. And this comes in at an 80% discount compared to the previous private sale investment round. So this project is invested by some large VCs, Dragonfly and Mechanism. And the lowest valuation that these VCs got in at was $48 million valuation. So they are offering the tokens at a $10 million valuation for public, whereas the VCs got in at 48. Just consider that big difference. Now you might ask, what's the catch here? Like, can't I just like invest, 10K and just dump on the VCs? Well, no, you can't invest 10K. Again, they are capping each person, right? If you are a core community holder, you can invest up to $100,000. If you are public, you can invest up to 500. And this gives a good balance, right? Effectively, if they get to sell out this entire round, they need to attract something like 20,000 new community members, each investing $500, up to $500 in this early $10 million round. And those people, they invest a little bit of money at a much lower valuation than the VCs. And what ends up happening is, if this project even lists at the VC price of 50 million, all of your community members are instantly up 5x. And these people are going to be very, very happy. They will become your core community members. They will hold those tokens for this entire bull run, and they will become like your core cult. And that's what matters. Having your core community in on the ground floor and giving them the highest upside, while at the same time not giving everyone like a whale approach, right? Just having them each investing at a low ticket number, but these guys will be perfectly happy. Okay, so that's Blast Royale, and this is a new model that Paid Network and my good friend Kyle is really trying to make these new token launches fair. I have been following Paid and Kyle and what they're doing at Paid for the past year. So in fact, I have also interviewed Kyle on the channel before. You should go check out my one of my podcast videos going deep in depth on this model as they were iterating on it over the past year. So I think really this new model is actually fair for new token launches. And you guys can check out his latest update on why they're doing this model and why they believe this model is really going to bring the highest community participation for new token launches. Okay, and if you want to participate in this project, I'm going to have all of the project links down in the description, and I'll also have a referral link going to Paid Network for you to participate in Blast Royale's sale. Now, my deal is not super significant. So what they are offering for all KOLs, I'm going to make this very transparent. I get up to 10 ticket sizes in the same $10 million round versus a typical public investor. So if a public investor gets to invest $500, I get up to $5,000 of a ticket. If a public investor invests $200, I get $2,000 of a ticket. Same round as everyone. You can say what you want, but I think that's very fair for the amount of value that KOLs bring to the table. And it's not like a VC round where I'm investing, $100K, $200K, whatever. It's still just $2,000 to $5,000. And I think that's a good middle ground for attracting the right KOLs. Ultimately, having KOLs is not a bad idea if they can bring attention to the project. And that's full disclosure for people for why I'm mentioning this project and why I chose to participate in this project. I have upside in this, but I don't think it's unfair. And I still believe for our audience as well, you are at least getting in at the same valuation as me. And ultimately, that's what matters. Okay, and last but not least, one other project that I have talked about before is ReadyGG. So as far as 2 years ago, I have invested in ReadyGG. And last year, I featured them very heavily on the channel. They are still, to this day, the #1 gaming project that haven't launched, which I engage with the most. And these guys are still building very heavily. Now, ReadyGG has since made a name change and they are now called Play Network. So I have gotten comments about this project and why you can't find them on Twitter anymore. And that's because they are now called Play. So you should go check them out on Play Network, 0xplay_network. This is their new handle. Now, I have been talking with the team over the past 2 months on their launch strategy, and I am pushing them very, very heavily to do a fair launch model. Because even though we feature them quite a few times and I'm very bullish on them, all of their traction so far doesn't translate to a fair model for public investors to get in early. We attracted a lot of people to become fans, to join their community, but we don't really have a way for people to get in early. And that's the kind of opportunity I really want them to offer you guys. So follow them, and I'm pushing them very heavily to do a fair launch. We haven't decided exactly which model we're going to go for, if it's a DEX launch, if it's a low valuation listing, if it's something else. But either way, it's going to have all factors considered here. We will try to launch at a low valuation possible to rinse out the people that are just looking for a quick flip. And if you're a VC that don't believe in this project long-term like I do, or if you're a KOL that's just looking to make a quick flip, well, you can sell, right? You can sell at a low valuation, make no money. And instead, we want the core community that we have built up over the past 2 years to actually get in on the ground floor. And this is why you haven't seen a big, exchange listing, whatever, being announced on Ready on Play Network. That's because we're planning this very carefully. We really want to give our community an opportunity, a fair opportunity to get in at a similar valuation that I got in at, that all other VCs and KOLs got in at. We don't want this to be a scenario where you have, any of these like large launches where price just goes down only. That is going to not only, hurt our brand, hurt the project, but also like that will look so bad. Like I really don't want this project to become a scenario like this. And I have spoken with the team, and the team really believes in the long-term potential as well. They don't want one of these price charts hurting what they're trying to build here long-term, which is something that not only has upside in terms of their token, but also upside in terms of how many traditional Web2 games and teams that can onboard into Web3 by using their infrastructure. And when you have a token that constantly goes down in price, your product is not going to be popular. But in the opposite, if your token launches early and your token continues to go up, that naturally acts as a marketing tool for you to onboard more and more business partners. And that's ultimately the long-term potential that I see in Ready in play. So we are completely aligned on this. We want to make the fairest launch possible. So definitely subscribe to them. Check them out on Twitter if you haven't yet. And for everyone that have followed Ready, now you should be following Play because this is their new name. So look out for their launch probably in the next 1 to 2 months. Okay, so these are all of the fair launch projects that I have studied, I have engaged with. XBorg, SeedWorld, mETH Protocol, Blast Royale on Paid Network, Town Station, and Play Network. These 6, I really believe, are setting themselves up for a lot of success in this bull run. By launching low, by having a fair launch to your community, this is the way to go. 99% of projects in this cycle are still going to launch like this. And that's why if you spot one of these fair launch projects, everyone is going to catch on because it's just completely against the meta. And everyone that's taking profit from these like unfair projects, VC dumping, like slow bleed projects, are just going to put all of their money into these fair launch projects. And that's why ultimately I believe this category of altcoins has much higher potential. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a specific category. Whether you're looking at meme coins, a fair launch meme coin is always going to outperform a VC launch meme coin like this. A fair launch AI coin is going to outperform a VC launched AI coin like this. The unfairly launched, high FDV coin. This applies to every single category. Whenever you're looking for a project, a newly launched altcoin in this cycle, you got to look at fair launch. This is one of the core thesis that I'm building again. And as I'm featuring more and more projects, I'm going to be very selective. You either have to be already listed for a long while and you don't have any investor unlock just naturally by years of, investors already selling out over 2 to 3 years at least, or you are launching your coin in a fair way. There's no in between. Because I don't want to feature any coins that have our, audience getting in, even if it's a Binance project, you get in whatever, right? At listing, if Binance projects are doing this, there's no coming back for these kind of projects. People they know what's going on and they're not going to buy your coin at high valuation like this anymore. Okay, that's the whole presentation and that's the whole narrative around fair launch. This narrative is still quite early. There are not that many projects like this. So I have tweeted out on my X yesterday featuring the few fair launch projects that I have seen. If you guys know any more, let me know. Tweet at me or leave them down in the comments. Send me a chat message. If you have anyone that's doing this kind of launch, I would love to study your project, study your tokenomics. And if it's actually fair, I would love to work with you. Interested in any of these projects, check the links that I have included down in the description. And before I go, 2 things you should follow me on. Number 1, follow me on Twitter at VirtualBacon0x. This is where I drop quick alpha, such as, these coins launching, whatever. I've been covering, Town Station, XBorg, everything, all of these projects much more early on X. And also, you should join our insider community on the Coiners. So this is our insider community where I go live and I post trade signals along with 5 other analysts. You can chat with me. You can trade. We have trading competitions. We have daily market alerts and completely free community. It's not Discord. It's our free, our own thing, our own website and our own mobile app as well that you can get alerts for the trade signals. So check it out. And that's it. Thank you guys for joining, and I will see you on the next video and next live stream. Bye-bye.